Hey, everybody. Welcome to that Tom Clancy show. And I don't know why I just did what I just did, but I just did it, and that's dumb. So, welcome to the show, everybody. Happy Thursday? Yeah, it's Thursday. Uh, Crazy new trailer for Cyberpunk 2077 today. Looking pretty good. Giving it 2 thumbs up. They're actually thumbing up. So, yay. Oh, man. Still gotta figure out these fingers. Feel like feel like a baby learning how to use my hands. Oh well, is what it is. So, thank you all very much for joining us here, my lovely studio audience. Uh, it's been a week. I tell you, man, it seems like it just keeps getting worse by the day, but thankfully we're here with some positivity for you. Fictional Cat, so good to see you, my friend. Thank you for joining us today. Yeah. So, without really too much further ado, I guess we should just kind of get into it. Uh, my guest today is going to be another entrant in the first round of hashtag Pitch a Game. He may not have won any of the awards, but he did win my heart with his game's art style and silly pitch. Bits and Pixels, our first ever Fox, please welcome Alan from Fuzz Force Spook Squad.
Hello.
Hey, Alan, how's it going?
It's going great. How are you doing?
So far, so good. So I gotta say, I've never had a fox on the show before. I don't know if we're zoned for animals, but well, I won't tell anybody if you don't.
Oh no, of course not. This is our secret.
Cool. I gotta say, lovely satchel.
Well, designer, all the best.
Yeah, yeah. Clearly, I hope that it's vegan leather though. Just saying.
I tend not to ask where it comes from.
That's probably a safe stance on living there until it turns out it's stolen, at which point possession is 9/10 of the law. So, uh, welcome to the show. It's good to have you
Thank you.
here. It's been, again, sorry, we were, to you and to the audience, we were supposed to have Alan on Tuesday. But unfortunately, the city decided that my sidewalk needed to become a 10-inch deep pit instead. So there was a lot of loud machinery. I posted a picture of it on Twitter, and it would not have been conducive to having a show that relies on things like sound. So we delayed to today, and thankfully it worked out for all parties involved. And I get to have my lovely guest right over there. So thank you again for your flexibility on this.
Not a problem. Not a problem.
All right, so why not just kind of jump right into it? So last month on hashtag Pitch a Game, you showed all of us Fuzz Force Spook Squad. I believe you described it as a dice rolling role playing game with roguelite elements.
Yeah, something like that. I've been mucking about with what to actually call it. So on Saturday for the next round, I should have something that's a bit clearer.
Nice. It reminded me a bit of. Are you familiar with the board game Betrayal at House on the Hill? I think is the name of it.
Yeah, I've heard of it, but it's not one of the board games that I've played.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. I haven't played it either, but I've seen it played, and I feel that makes me an expert on it. No, but it reminds me to an extent of that. So for people who are unfamiliar with the game, you can actually find it on itch.io. Alan has provided a free demo there for you to check out. It plays very similarly, where you are turning over tiles of the map, and as you do so, it reveals treasure items, enemies, things like that. At which point, if it's an enemy, you then fight it using the power of your, for lack of a better word, blaster, which appears to be powered by dice, which, of course they are. And you find additional dice to kind of supplement your power through various other random means. Not random. I mean, it is random. It's dice. But yeah, I played through the demo a few times, and I didn't get it at first. But then when I spent a little bit more time with it, it all started to kind of come together, and it's a really charming, fun game.
Well, thank you. The beginning part is something I need to work on. I feel like there are elements to it that are a bit hard to understand for a first-time player.
Yeah.
So I just need to sort of work out the best way to demonstrate these in an easy to understand way.
The thing that kind of caught me the most is so one of the items you can find in the world are additional 6-sided dice that have different number sets on them. And what kind of threw me for a loop was that when I would get a second die to add to my attack or my defense or my charge, I didn't know that it wasn't the one I was going to be using primarily. But again, it just came down to, playing with the game for a little bit, and then pattern recognition stepped in, and I'm like, oh, I use it on every other attack. And then it all started to click for me. But, otherwise it's a really cute, fun little game.
Thank you. Yeah, it's coming along well. Now that the demo's out, that's kind of the main systems for the game. So the rest of it is just slotting in new characters, new areas, enemies, and all of that, and it should be finished hopefully soon, like sooner rather than later.
Awesome. Well, one, all the luck to you, and
Thank
two,
you.
remember it's done when it's done.
Yeah, when it's done. Yeah.
Yeah. That is the official standpoint of that Tom Clancy show, that no game should be released before it's done.
Oh gosh, I thought I had the demo done, and then my friend who actually does QA professionally played it, and then that was it. It took like two weeks fixing things that I couldn't have even foreseen happening.
Well, it's one of those things too. Having worked in QA in the past as well, it's when we as developers make a game, we know where all of that stuff kind of is, and we know how to avoid it. But we don't necessarily always figure out exactly how the player is going to approach the same situation. And with my background in QA, like, man, we can approach some things in some weird ways. So
Yeah, the worst one was just a lot of the buttons, because the buttons are animated when they come in and out. So as soon as you click them, they animate out, but they're still active. So basically, every button in the game you could click multiple times, so you could end up throwing 13 dice at once, and then that broke the game.
yeah, imagine that would trivialize everything.
I can't actually remember what happened. I feel like it just, as soon as you rolled your first one, then the enemy went, and then but you were still going, and then the menu didn't come up. As yeah, so I had to spend. That was probably the main bulk of it. Just buttons could be clicked when they weren't supposed to. So I've learned my lesson now. I'm not doing that again.
Well, you've gotten your first compliment in chat from my friend Bad Idea Brian. He goes, now that's an avatar. Yeah, I agree. We were trying to figure out how best to have Alan on the show, and I was like, hey, can we get your fox in here? Because I'll be completely honest, you won me over in the last one when I saw I saw the look of your game. You have this wonderful aesthetic that you just really kind of double down on, and it feels fun. It matches the game that you built while also setting a really solid art style too. So I'm really I'm happy I get to hang out with this fine looking fox over there. The goggles might be a little, but hey, that's a style choice, so I can't really fault you on it. I still haven't figured out how to get something actually displayed on my face. So, complications and limitations of creator knowledge, we'll say.
You'll definitely get there though. As soon as you get it sorted, So many
Yeah.
faces all the time.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like there's a whole bunch of other things that I also have to figure out too. But as you understand, as a because you're working on Fuzz Force as a solo developer, right?
Yes, that's right.
That's gonna have its own just slew of additional challenges.
Um, it does. When I started this whole thing, I started Fuzz Force sort of at the end of last year in December. I hadn't done any like proper full games before, so this is like my first actual game, not just a little prototype. So I took it. I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. I ran with it. But my friend at work, he's been really supportive, and I can just go, I don't know how to do this, or why isn't this working? And he'll be like, it's because you haven't done it like that. It's like try doing it like this instead. It's like, oh yeah, great, thanks. So yeah, he's done quite a lot of support in that respect.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's well. It's always nice to have somebody to kind of bounce those ideas off of too.
Oh, he's awful with ideas. Like, I can't really
Oh well, I mean,
trust him.
I don't care if his ideas are good or bad, but it's still nice to have somebody to talk to about it, other than like say a brick wall.
That's true. Yeah.
Because at least then, as several of our previous guests from Pitchy Game have said, it's nice to have somebody to kind of sound those ideas off of, because it ideas in our head sound perfect, but sometimes when we say them, they sound really dumb. You know, but then if
Yeah, that's true.
somebody, yeah, like Brian, or Bad Idea Brian, is a bit of a filmmaker, and every now and then I am like, you know what, man, I want to make this short film, and I like pitch it to him, and he just goes, "Yo, that's really dumb," and then I'm like, either, yeah, you're right, that's kind of dumb, or I'm like, no, it's just brilliant, and you can't see it. Uh, I'm gonna make that Hellboy short film, Brian, and it's gonna be excellent. Just you wait. Once this like pandemic thing is over, Hellboy happening. So, yeah, paraphrasing. It's true. Whatever, Brian. You're dumb.
Nothing Hellboy is bad. Come on.
Yeah, hold on a sec. Can I? Can I? No, I still can't make heart hands. Someday. Someday. Um. Yeah. So, prior to this, did you have? I mean, you mentioned that you kind of made your own little prototypes and stuff. Are you more on like the design side of things, the programming side, the art side, or like, or I guess really what I mean to say is, where did you get your start? Did you start as like a 3D artist, or were you more just like, I have these ideas in my head for a game, should I just make some prototypes?
Yeah, 3D art. That's what I went to university for, and then I got a job down in Bournemouth, and that's where I've been for the last 8, 10 years, whatever. So it was basically just all art through there. I wanted to do some design because they're like, oh hey, let's do some of our own games instead of just doing games for clients.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, well, let's do our own stuff. And I came up with a bunch of designs, and I was just throwing them out there. And not a single one like got picked up. They just didn't really say anything. They just didn't fit the bill, even though I was making prototypes, coming up with ideas, and all this and that. So I was like, fine, if you're not gonna do my ideas here, I'm just gonna do it in my own time. Had a big chat with the CEO because legally the company owns any ideas that we come up with. So there's a bit of a process to get those signed over to me now. So Fuzz Force is officially mine, legally mine. I can do it in my own time, separate from my company, so I can show them how it's done. Really,
Well, here's hoping, anyways. You know,
yeah,
um,
definitely. Here's hoping.
yeah. Well, I mean, if it's any consolation, I've heard of your game. I haven't heard of anything they've done.
No, it might be quite hard for
Yeah.
that one.
I mean, I guess that's kind of dickish of me to say, because I don't know who you work for. So, but it sounds better if I leave out that qualifying statement at the end.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, Alan, totally heard of this guy. Fuzz Force Spook Squad. That's some grade A entertainment. Um, I don't know. Maybe yeah, I'd give it like a solid A minus based on the demo. It is, you know, it's simple, but I can see where the complexity in it is going to come, or how that's going to work in, and like because the way the demo works is that you have effectively like two screens, and then in the second screen you have the boss fight, and I gotta say, when I was a bit intimidated when I first came up to the boss, because you have something like what 30 health, and then the boss has roughly that same amount, and I was just like, oh crap, how am I gonna do this? This guy's kind of tough, you know. And it's you know, and it's also it's like a ghost bear or just a bear, you know. And I'm just like, I've just been beating up like stupid ghosts. Now I have to fight a bear. Like, come on.
Oh yeah, the bear's huge as
Yeah.
well,
I
compared to
mean,
everything else you've been playing.
yeah, it's a fun game, and it's just another thing that I really appreciate about it is the lucky moves. So before every battle, the player has the opportunity to select a number that appears on their dice, and if that number comes up, they get effectively a second turn. That said, though, good job on not allowing people to have infinite turns, because that would be OP.
Yeah, that came down very quickly in development after I came up with it. I was like, yeah, maybe just one is the right way to go about this.
Yeah,
On the plus side, with the lucky moves, you get if you have any buffs on your first turn, they don't go down for the second turn, and like if the enemy has debuffs on them, it sort of applies for both turns as well. So it works out really well. I find it was an idea that I just read up on based on board games. They were like, "Oh, what sort of critical hit mechanics do you use?" And some people have said, "Yeah, it's quite nice when you get an extra turn," and that's where it came from.
yeah. Well, it does feel very much like a board game, but at the same time, it is definitely still a video game. And I don't mean just in the sense of it's a video game. I mean, it's just it carries with it that kind of what's the word I'm looking for? Something that doesn't sound like it's demeaning or anything, but it has that like kind of levity that you have in video that is more common to video games than it is to say board games. Because a lot of board games, especially ones that kind of follow the same formula you're using, they have a tendency to take themselves very seriously.
Oh yeah,
Um,
it's all like proper hardcore art, like Arkham Horror, sort of realistic stuff, or all
yeah,
the zombies have skin falling off, and it's like horrific ghost stuff, not Saturday morning cartoon ghost stuff.
yeah. Whereas that Saturday morning cartoons are actually an excellent example in this. It's like board games are uh, the Ghostbusters, if you will, and then you're kind of the Saturday morning, the real Ghostbusters cartoon. You know, you're both kind of doing that same thing, but you're taking it in that more silly fun kind of route. Not to say that Ghostbusters isn't a silly fun movie, but it actually worked out very well in this context. Did you guys have the real Ghostbusters cartoon in the UK? Because if not, you're missing out, man.
No, we did have it. It was a really long time ago. I feel like it aired a lot more than Ghostbusters films do.
Which is unfortunate because the two original Ghostbusters movies are amazing.
Yeah, I think sort of just missed those a little bit.
Well, as Brian and several other people like to remind me, I am a bit older than I generally carry myself online. So, getting old is constant, but growing up is optional, folks. I'm pretty sure I talked about that on the show yesterday too. Uh, I stand by it. Um, so where did this idea kind of come from for Fuzz Force? Like, were you just like sitting around going, "Man, I really love board games, but there's none that scratch the itch I'm looking for"? Or
Um, I'm not quite 100% sure when it came about. Like, it came about first just from the prototype of it was actually set in the forest as well. You're supposed to go around and then find like a sword and shield and stuff. and then you use that to battle, you know, cartoon orcs and goblins. So it was a bit more fantasy styled. But at some point, it transferred into a haunted house, and probably due to having played like Luigi's Mansion 3 recently, there's also that the 3DS Ghost Tower game, which is quite similar. I didn't realize it consciously at the time, but my friend was like, "It looks like this." I'm like, "Oh yeah, it does look like that." I really love that little game. So that's probably kind of where that came from. And then the obvious one is Slay the Spire, of course. But so that was like the other side of it. So the first side was doing the prototype, turned into Ghost. It was like a ghost hunting game. And then the other side was when the new character for Slay the Spire came out, and I played it. I was like, I don't know what's good for this new character. You get all these cards, and you don't know what is a good card to take, and you sort of don't know what's coming up later. So you don't know if you should take card 1, 2, or 3 for card 4, 5, and 6 later on. You don't know how things work. And it was from there that I wanted to boil down the formula to like dice, because everyone understands dice in a way. So it removes a lot of that anxiety or stress that you could get from not knowing what a character's deck is. You just be like, it's dice. That's quite easy. I can see the face on the dice, exactly what these do. And then you put them into the different slots. It's like, okay, got that dice for my attack, and that's the sort of damage I'll do. Maybe it has an additional effect on it. And that's, yeah, it's just sort of making a bit of an easier roguelite to get into for people that would want to get into the genre, but maybe say the Spire is a bit difficult or it sort of stresses them out a bit too much. So that's where the cartoon styles come from as well, to just keep it all light, airy, easy, bit fun. So it's never going to be as hard as like Slay the Spire. I just kind of want players to play it, and they'll be like, yeah, I'm feeling pretty strong now, taking down these ghosts, capturing them all in bowls. I feel really powerful. I'm having a great time. This is fun.
I will say, speaking of catching the ghosts in bottles, I feel a little bad about then using them as currency. Not like really bad, because clearly they're evil spirits. But then like
Very
going
evil.
to a shop, it's like, what is this person using those ghosts for? So maybe I don't feel bad for them, but I am suspicious of the shopkeeper's motives.
Well, he does tell you not to ask.
Yeah, and that's why I'm suspicious. Like, I want to know why. I mean, it's a very easy way to get a person to ask questions is to tell them not to ask questions.
But on the plus side, you're getting some cool dice out of it.
Yeah, that's true. But at the same time, what am I funding with that dice purchase? Did you think about that, Alan?
I think there are bigger things to worry about in the Fuzz Force world. You're on a mission here, and he's not the target.
I think Alan is part of a conspiracy that's using ghosts for evil. Just between us, audience.
Let's be honest. When have ghosts ever been used for good?
Um, well, there was that episode of The Real Ghostbusters where they got the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man to come out and do like the PR thing, and then it helped them beat the evil ghost.
Damn, foiled.
I need a microphone that I can pick up and then just like drop. This one, I can't pick it up. But you know what, Gavin, next week we need a microphone that I can just drop and then it'll respawn. Cool. Yeah. But questionable shopkeepers aside, do you have any plans moving forward to kind of expand the available options in a fight for the player? Like maybe like things like, because right now you have so you have attack, defend, charge, and then you have the special. Like anything to kind of like what's what I'm looking for here, expand that roster, kind of diversify the types of attacks that you'll be able to pull off?
So this battle system will only be those 4 options, just so to keep along with the easy to get into mentality that you can play any of the characters and you know exactly that they'll always have attack, shield, charge, and a special skill, even if that special skill is different, and if they have different passive stats for the attack, shield, and charge, you'll still know how to play each character from the beginning,
Mm-hmm.
which is something I thought was quite important rather than shifting through a menu, getting new skills, swapping it out. Like there was a thought at the time to have 2 special skills, but I dropped that, kept it simple, keep it easy. But along with the status effect dice, which are currently in the game, where you can inflict burn or static or angry and poison, those 4 dice are part of a subset of other dice, which have a bunch of additional effects. So it'd be like you can have an extra 3 damage on your attack. There'll be some which buff the roll that you've done based upon how much life you have. One which is good at breaking shields. It does extra damage if the enemy has a shield. There's dodging, stuns as well. So because dice can be put in any slot that you want, you could shield, but also have a chance of generating a dodge for yourself for that turn, or you can charge your battery and stun the enemy for their turn. So it sort of comes down to where you want to put your dice. And then additionally, there's the modules on the other side where you can equip your sort of passive abilities during battle as well. So there'll be some that buff your poison damage or give you a shield when your battery runs out and things like that. So there'll be more abilities to find, a bigger range of dice to find, while still keeping the same 4 options just to keep it very easy to understand.
Nice. You also seem to imply there that there will be other player characters as well.
Indeed, yes. I'm working on the second one right now. The plan is to have 4 characters at launch. So after there'll be sort of 3 standard characters, and then the 4th one just had a brilliant idea. We'll just make this character completely different and see sort of how that works out. Hopefully it works out.
Any
If not,
any word on what the other characters might be?
well, great thing is 2 of the characters are planned. I just really don't know who the third one is going to be. I keep going back and forth over that. It's pretty unsettled. But the second one is man's best friend, of course.
Okay.
And the 4th one will be some kind of robot.
I was just gonna say, like, if you need a robot, I know a guy.
100% get you in there.
See, I even do like the hand swing. I got nothing. For
Separate
those,
hands is perfect.
yeah. It's because I haven't had the time to sit down and figure out my elbow tracking. So the way that I came upon this body is I use the good old fashioned, if I'm not going to use it, scale it to 0 approach. So
100%. That's why I don't have arms. You can't work it out.
yeah, scale it to 0. It's still there, it's just not being used or costing any memory or anything. Nice little workaround. For those of us for those of you, not those of us, we're still the same people. But for those of you who are just joining us, I am sitting here with Alan. He's the developer of Fuzz Force Spook Squad, a charming little roguelite board game with dice and hunting ghosts. So yeah. For any of you guys, of course, this is my friendly reminder that if you have any questions for Alan, go ahead and throw them up in chat. If you have any questions for me, save them for like a more relevant time, because this show's about Alan, not about me. Like you see me all the time. How often do you get to see a charming fox on the show?
Yeah, you got to put on the show. There are quite some charming ones outside.
Yeah, there are. They're very very common where I grew up, so I saw a lot of them as a kid. So yeah,
I
they're
always find it quite a treat seeing a fox outside.
well.
Feels special.
I imagine that seeing them is a bit rarer in the UK, given the history of fox hunting.
Yeah, I think that's why they only come out at night now.
Well, they are actually, as I discovered, nocturnal primarily. So they are. I did a little looking into foxes for reasons which will become clear later, and they are more akin to cats than canines, though they are definitively canines.
It's just because of how agile they are, isn't it?
Well, I think it probably also has something to do with being among the smaller members of the dog family. When everything else is 2 to 3 times the size of you, you kind of want to be out and about when they're not, especially when you haven't figured out things like ghost hunting rifles and pointy sticks. So
It's tough being a fox, isn't it?
I imagine it would be. Humans are either trying to hunt you or keep you as a pet, and everything else that looks like you wants to eat you. So, yeah. Man, I'm really glad that we found a way to like kind of get out of the whole like food chain thing cuz, I don't know how I'd do if I was actively being hunted by a large predator.
I think everyone feels that way when they see a nature show and there's a whole herd of gazelle and the lion gets one. I think everyone feels like they're that one gazelle
Yeah.
could go straight away.
Man, there was in the early 2000s here in the U.S. There was a quit smoking commercial, which was similar to that, which was like a group of people on the Serengeti, and one of them was smoking, and then a lion showed up, and everybody ran, and then the smoker got eaten because he couldn't run as fast as everyone else because smoker. And I'm sitting there, and like I was a smoker at the time, and I'm like, dude, if there's a lion at me, I will run without breathing. I don't care. I'll kick somebody in the leg.
Yeah, that's basically what it is. You don't have to be the fastest. You just have to
Be faster than
not
the
be at the
slowest.
back. Yeah.
That's pretty much just how it works. Natural selection. Slow ghosts get caught in bottles and sold to questionable merchants.
Circle of life.
Yeah, exactly. Or in the case of Fuzz Force Spook Squad, the cycle of death. Uh, Man, I'm looking forward to when we start getting when the game itself proper comes out because it is just really charming and fun. And I wish that I was not just a robot person stuck in the internet and I could actually post the link in chat. Brian, find itch.io Fuzz Force Spook Squad post link. Oh man, sorry, just got a really really nasty cough there.
You feeling all right?
Yeah, I'm good now. I'm good now. We'll see how I feel in a couple minutes if my message was received. Oh man. Wait, am I supposed to do work? Yes, Brian. You are. You're the mod in the channel, Brian. That's I mean, that is the unspoken like rule of, isn't it? Like that's, every other channel I go to, the mods do work. I can't pay you though. So like it's volunteer position. I volunteered you. Also, I don't know how it goes paying people in other countries. That's just beyond me. I couldn't hear the over the glitch in your matrix. Oh, touche. Touche.
It's got you there.
He does. He does. Which is why I also had to respond to him in French because he's Canadian, but he's not French Canadian. So I know that they have like that rivalry thing going on. So I'm on to you, Brian. I'm on to you. Oh, hey, what do you know? He found the demo. Good job, Brian. Like that.
Well done, Brian.
Yeah, so everybody sitting in chat, go ahead, click that link. Maybe not right this moment, but just in general, go ahead, click the link, check it out. It's a fun little game. It won't take you too horribly long to play. Yeah, so it looks like a Unity game, I will say.
Yes, it is definitely a Unity game. But
Okay.
then If you're implying what I think you're implying.
No, I'm not implying anything. I'm just saying that it's a Unity game because you have it working on a website fairly simply. And while I know that other engines are capable of doing that, most other engines don't do it as simply as Unity.
Yeah, it's my first time sort of exporting something for a website, and there's just this one stupid bug which has obviously been around for about 5 years, that music doesn't loop if it's started with a delay. So in the boss fight against the bear, it plays a little intro and then it goes into the proper tune. And because my friend and I sort of played the game muted while we were bug testing it, we didn't realize that the boss music only played once and didn't loop for like a week. Like, it's the stupidest bug. You look it up and it's like, yeah, we told you about this about 5 years ago, and you haven't fixed it.
So let me guess, your workaround for this was just to make the track loop into instead of like say a 30-second track, making it say a 6-minute loop of the same track.
Unfortunately, not. That
Oh wow.
music would be way above me. It was just, instead of using the function they have to play music delayed, was to then just delay the start of the music. So it sort of counts down how long the intro is, and then after that time, it plays the music. So it sort of manually does it.
Mm-hmm.
It's ridiculous.
Hey man, brute force solutions. They might not always be the prettiest or the smartest, but they work.
Tell you that brute forcing it is basically how the whole swapping dice and modules thing works.
How do you think I got this going? I mean, I'm at the point now where I can't brute force everything, so it has to be finessed. And it's just like, crap, I don't do finesse. I do brute force. So, yeah. So, I have unfortunately run out of all of my prepared material, with the exception of the 5 questions. So, chat, you guys have, say, like roughly a minute to come up with any questions if you have any. If you don't, too, that's fine. But I did spend all week telling Alan how I have the best chat and that you guys ask wonderful questions.
He
And
totally did say that.
I would feel so bad if you didn't live up to my expectations. No, I didn't buy it. Yeah, there's a reason why I'm not an actor.
I thought it was pretty good.
You know, I was really feeling it there. I was trying to get some method, like how would a robot feel bad, and so I prepared by watching a lot of Star Trek. You know, primarily the episodes with Lore, because he had feelings. So he was also psychotic. So maybe he wasn't the best role model in this instance.
Gotta start somewhere.
Yeah, I guess so. But man, I do love me some Star Trek. All right. Well, it seems that a minute has passed. So we'll talk about this later, chat. In probably a fun fashion. So we have come to the point of the show now, which I like to call the 5 questions. Now, Mr. Troy, your bad idea, Brian's lawyer. Okay, cool, but he doesn't need a lawyer right now. I don't think. Either way, if you would like, I can refer you to my attorney. Hit me up afterwards. No, no, stay, Mr. Troy. We like having you here. I don't know who you are, but please stay. I'm about to get into the 5 questions, which is my personal favorite, most fun part of the show. So 5 questions. Normally, I ask, oh, shoot. Thank you for the gifted sub there, Mr. Troy. Or thank you, Brian. So, no, I don't think Mr. Troy and I have ever met. Oh, we're producers? Well, yeah, Mr. Troy, Twitter, at Tom Clancy. We'll talk later. We do. Son of a biscuit. Tweet me after the show. And I'm horrible. I'm the worst. Oh man, I'm just gonna sad marionette into a hole later. So 5 questions. Normally, I would ask my guest 5 completely random questions. And look, it's not that I have no idea who you are. It's that at this particular moment, I'm on the spot and my memory is not really working too great. And if I just get a brief reminder / a moment to breathe and think about it, I'll probably remember. So, yeah, I got nothing. So 5 questions, usually 5 random ass questions that have absolutely nothing to do with the interview. But today, I thought, oh man, that sucks with the parents thing, but I feel you. I thought that we'd do something a little bit different. So since Alan has come to us as a fox, I'm going to ask him 5 questions about foxes.
Oh, no.
And previously, the 5 questions had no wrong answers. There are correct answers to these questions. They, of course, mean absolutely nothing, and I'm not going to judge you if you don't have the answers to these questions. So don't feel bad. So, number one, what is the appropriate name for a female fox?
Nope. Absolutely don't know.
The correct answer is a vixen.
Of course.
It's okay. I look. I literally, when I came up with this idea, Googled interesting facts about foxes. So, I didn't know these either. They're not my animals. You asked me about like birds of prey or like sharks, man, I got you. But foxes, not really my thing. What is number two? Number two, there we are. What is the fox's top running speed?
12 miles an hour?
Not even close. 45 miles per hour. Or for those of you in the, civilized world with metric, 72 kilometers per hour.
I think this is just going to start making me look bad here. Didn't research foxes properly.
I mean, it's okay. It's okay. Again, this is, you're not getting graded on this. This is all just for fun, mostly my fun at this point.
Yeah, definitely not mine here.
Question number 3. 3. There we are. Fingers. How do they work? Which species is the smallest species of fox?
I would say the fennec.
And you would be correct.
I got one.
He got one. Success. That was the one that was actually worth all the points. So no matter what, you pass. Question number 4. Which is the most common fox species?
Are there that many? It's just like...
Just look at yourself.
I don't know. It's not like the red fox.
Ding, ding, ding. Correct answer. Red fox is the most common species of fox, being found on pretty much all of the continents, including Australia, where it is considered an invasive species.
Damn them.
Well, I mean, how can you stay mad at a red fox? Maybe no, and maybe they help eat the cane toads. So, final question number 5. Are you sick of fox questions yet?
No, I could do about 15 more, I think.
Okay, cool. I don't have 15 more, but, that was the 5 questions. So before we head out here, let me just once again say thank you, Alan, for coming on the show and for sharing your game with us on #PitchAGame. Brian already linked earlier in the chat where you can find the demo for Fuzz Force Spook Squad. Brian, if you wouldn't mind throwing that up one more time, so you probably still have it in your clipboard. So, Alan, where can people find you on the interwebs?
Well, firstly, thank you for having me.
Oh, of course.
It's been a pleasure. So I'm focused on Twitter currently. So that's twitter.com/Fuzz Force. I try and be semi-frequent with updates, but when it comes down to a lot of back-end stuff, there's not a lot to show, unfortunately. But yeah, Twitter is the main place.
Nice. Yeah. So go ahead, throw him a follow. Keep up to date on Fuzz Force Spook Squad. Of course, he is also a pretty generally charming individual, even though he is from the UK. Uh, I've
What a
spent
compliment.
yeah, I have. Look, I spent way too much time around English people as a kid, which has caused me to develop a highly sarcastic and extremely dry sense of humor. So,
Who do you think I've grown up around?
yeah. Man, just wait until I get into self-deprecation. That's when it gets bad. Um, but yeah, unfortunately, like an idiot, I unplugged my keyboard from my face, so I can't like do my usual change cameras over to like the straight like me camera. So instead, I'm just gonna kind of just be like, "Hey, how's it going, guys?" So before I go, yeah, keyboard face. Yeah, I'm really glad that there is. So I have an index and it has a USB port right here in the face. So I plug a spare keyboard in there so I can, you know, like do all my scene changey stuff and kind of look, somewhat professional and sneaky about it. But oh shoot, now everybody knows my secret. Damn it. Um, Gav, we need to get rid of the keyboard. We gotta things. We're gonna make it happen. Um, so before uh before we move on, or before we end the show, I just want to add that for any of you out there who are interested in getting involved with hashtag Pitch Your Game, round 2 is going to be starting on Tuesday, June 30th at 4 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time, or I believe that's 9 a.m. British Summer Time. And it will be running until 4 p.m. Eastern slash 9 p.m. British time. So throw up some info on any game you may be working on and add the hashtag pitch a game. Get it up between those times and you'll be up for some like cool fancy awards. I know that they're also working on like maybe some prizes too. I don't know exactly how that's going, but awards and all that. And then probably just like this round, I will reach out to a bunch of people whose games I think look really cool and bring them on for an interview with the show. And hey, who knows? Maybe Alan will be back too. So no promises.
I'm
Other
gonna have
than
to learn a lot more about dogs, aren't I? For
yeah,
your next
just
five
might.
questions.
You never know. I might ask you robot questions too. Do you ever think about that? Or
No.
maybe questions about questionable merchants in other video games.
Oh, I can do that one.
Okay. Okay. I'm glad to know that something's going. You got something else going for you. Otherwise, tomorrow afternoon at 5 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, I have Steve Byers on the show, and you're here for the robots. Awesome. I am a robot, like 4 to 5 times a week. And then on Sunday, again at 4 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, I have Sonia Alexander. She is a writer and also a indie game developer. She I've been in talks with her for a few weeks now. We finally got our schedules to work to match up. She's working on a game about I believe it's slave revolt in I forget exactly which Caribbean nation, but she'll be here at 4 p.m. Eastern on Sunday to talk about that game as well. So, to everyone out there in the studio audience, once again, thank you so much for coming and being here. For the new followers who followed before the show started, for Mr. Troy, who followed just a few seconds ago, and of course, my mod Brian out there for being generally on point with getting those links out. Everyone else, thank you so much for being here. I'm going to sad Marionette in just a moment. A fun little thing because I was stupid. But until next time, thank you all for being here, and I'll see you on the next episode of That Tom Clancy Show.